Hello there. Can you guess which flag it is? It does seem familiar but a bit strange. And I will give you a hint. The flag colors are inversed. So for example, this black stripe is white in reality. Pink maps to something like green, and this maps to yellow. I guess that's Hungary? Bulgaria. Alright, I suck at my own game, but I am really happy to present to you the Golf game. Golf, of course, means flag in reverse. So, how did I get the idea? A while ago I made a video about SVGs and I wanted to be able to see them, so I added an invert filter on them. But because I also did the option to put a flag in it, when I over them, everything was reversed and I was like, the French flag in reverse does look a bit strange. I wonder if I would recognize it, and that's how the idea of the game was made. So let's take a look at how we are going to build this with Datastar. First, to look at the code. Nothing really fancy in the head, I just import Datastar from CDN, I add some CSS and a custom JavaScript. Here, that we are going to see later. I am going to add the clock attribute to hide the body until Datastar is ready, and let's jump into main, and you see that start by declaring some signals. Game will be the game screen, so we have like three possible game screens. First one to get the flag. This is Norway, I guess. So the second one to guess, and the third one to reset the state. We do it SPA style with a game signal that will go from 0, 1, 2, and we put corresponding data show attributes on the three different screens that we want. Next up, we have an ID signal and a min and a max, because we are going to pick a flag at random between 0 and 45. And lastly, an answer signal to store the answer of the player. Now, let's look at the first screen. When I click the button because I want to play a game, I reset the answer, and then I use some inline JavaScript that you see here to pick a random value between 0 and 45. See here, min and max. And afterwards, I just have to put the signal game to 1 to switch to the next screen. In the next screen, I just display an image. I give it a class of golf to invert it with a CSS filter, and then I am going to construct the source attribute of the image with Datastar. So it's really just basic string concatenation, plus you see here that I am using the ID to get the real country name. So this is why we imported some custom JavaScript at the beginning. The JavaScript is really simple, it's just a dictionary of flags where the ID matches the country. See, nothing more. So for example, if I have ID to 10, flag's ID will return Czech Republic, and you see in the database that I have all the PNG for the images of the flags. Alright. Then I add some user input for the answer. I am going to bind the value of the input to a signal, to the answer signal, and then I am going to use the list attribute on the input. So this is an HTML5 tag that allows us to do combo boxes. This is how, when I click on the input, I have all the choices here, and if I type Z, for example, I have only the possible values with a Z inside of them. A data list is really easy to create. Just give it an ID and then put your options. Don't reinvent the wheel. This is a way to do a simple combo box in HTML. And on submit, we'll switch to the next screen. On the next screen, we either win or lose. That's really simple to do. We just prepare a div in case of game over, and a div if the answer was correct. We use data show with the correct conditions, so if answer isn't what I was expecting, I'm going to display the wrong div, and in the other case, the well played div. I can reuse my ID signal to put the flag, and I don't add the Galf class so it won't be inverted. So this is a way to give the answer to the player. The answer was, you can use data text to specify what you were looking for, and on click, we reset the game to the first screen. And that's all there is to it. This is how simple it was. Let's do it again, but this time we are going to watch the signals. Game equals 0, ID equals 0. I click on get Galf. Game switches to 1, and a random ID of 20 was selected. Now, what flag is this? Looks like the French flag, the white in the middle. You see that my answer was bind to my input. Ireland. Alright, sorry for my Irish friends. And game equals 2 here. 20. I click on new game, and that's it. If we want to speak a bit about performances, we can do something funny in the first screen. What I want to show you is that on every 10 milliseconds, so with Datastar you just have to put duration, data on interval duration 10 milliseconds, I'm going to pick a new flag. And you see how fast fetching the images and loading them is with Datastar. So the flags are changing every 10 milliseconds. I can even crank it up to 1 millisecond. Absolutely no problem. So changing the source attribute of an image with Datastar, really fast, really efficient. And that's all there is to it. The next part will be how to build a better combo box. This is the way to do it in HTML, but the browser will take care of the styling. Maybe that's not what you want, maybe it's not clean enough for you. This is why I'm going to present you another way to do them. look at the difference in the combo boxes. Let's see how to do it in code. So to build this combo box, we are going to put all of the choices in a div called combo box, and we are going to show them on two conditions: either not answer and focused. So focused is a signal defined in the input. I start at 0, when on focus I turn it to 1, and when on blur, that's the opposite of focus, I turn it to 0. Notice here I had a small JavaScript delay because you want to be able to click here on Slovakia and Slovenia, but if you click right now, the input will lose focus and the div will disappear. So you see here there's a half-second delay. Make sure that the divs stay a bit on the screen when I click on them. When I click on them, what happened? I just set the answer manually and I switch to the next screen. And to filter them, to sort them, for example, if I type Z to only have the Z, you can also use inline JavaScript. So if there is an answer, and for this specific div value, we have the answer to lowercase, we can show it as well. So that was the other conditional. See here, one div for Albania here, Andorra, Armenia, and stuff like that. This is a bit more contrived. You see, there's more markup, it's more HTML, but you get to style it with CSS. And some folks will think it's nicer, and this is what I went with to host it on the GitHub page. The code is now live on the GitHub page, so you can try it for yourself, try to play it, see that it's not easy. For example, here it might be Hungary, Lithuania. It's not easy. You only have European flags, so if you want to add some other flags, you're welcome to fork the code. If you want to add some other stuff, I mean, the game can work with inverted images of video game stuff, whatever you want. Inverting colors makes it really hard to recognize patterns, I found. And well, what I wanted to show here was how simple building with Datastar was. See, there was nothing complicated, and from the moment I had the idea, working on my other project, to building an MVP, just took less than a day. And I think it's really important that you're not slowed in your execution if you have a good and simple framework like Datastar. I have no idea what this flag is, so I'm not even going to try. Try it for yourself. This is not Vatican. There was this little symbol here. Try it for yourself. Tell me if you enjoyed the game. You're welcome to fork it. The address is here. You can also find it on my personal website. I will put it in the comment. You can also support the channel if you want, and on my website you can find here the Galf game. Just clicking on this link will take you to the good GitHub page. You can also find my other games, the Wordle that I built with Datastar, the chess game with a quad backend, or a 10 seconds chat if you want. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching the video, and see you next time.